The claim that I'm responding to tonight is that smart cars are not suitable for driving in Southern California. The supporting claims that were given was that, number one, the smart car doesn't appeal to the Southern Californian sense of style. Number two, the smart car is engineered for completely different driving conditions than those found in Southern California. And number three, smart cars create a greater risk of traffic accidents and parking violations. The first point for the smart car does not appeal to the Southern Californian sense of style is that there was a big, none of the evidence was cited. And so, because there was no evidence to support this claim, that was, quote, without this, the speaker lost credibility. The speaker also said that there were only 3 different models of smart cars, but looking on the website for Smart Cars of America, there were 5 different models. Even though there are only 5 models for 2009 and a handful of colors, look on the freeway. There are many identical cars, and it hasn't impeded on the Southern Californian sense of style. An example is also the Prius from Toyota. There is only 1 make and a few different colors, leading to many identical looking cars on the freeway. The second point is that the smart car is engineered for completely different driving conditions than those found in Southern California. The evidence presented was not quoted. We have no idea where it came from, and so this also loses credibility again. Also, the advocate mentioned a road trip. What constitutes a road trip? Is it county to county, state to state? According to MapQuest, it takes 55 minutes to get from one side of LA County to the other, like Santa Monica to Claremont, which is the boundary. And this is not a road trip, at least in my book. I don't know about everybody else's. Going to another county like San Diego or Riverside or out of the state is a road trip. Also, people have different levels of comfort. Each comfort level is different for a tall person, a large person, a short person, or a small person. The third point is that smart cars create a greater risk of traffic accidents and parking violations. There was no evidence to support this claim cited, and also smart cars should not have a hard time finding a parallel spot because the size of the smart car, according to the Smart Cars of USA's Facts and Question webpage, was that the smart car is only 8.8 feet long compared to a Yukon XL from GM, which is 16.8 feet long. So if you leave like 2 feet on either side of the Yukon, you can fit 2 smart cars in the space that the GM left leaving. So in the end, the smart car is not suitable. It is suitable for driving in Southern California. Thank you.
Well, Christina, it's pretty easy to follow the argument. All the structural issues are fine, so we're not going to get lost. I think you have some good challenges on the individual points. You challenge a lack of evidence on each one of the advocates' points. You might want to remind us what the claim was and what information, if any, they presented so that we can put it into a little bit more context. On the first point, when you mentioned the 5 different models, I did like the analogy that you drew to other kinds of cars, although I think you need to follow through with that. For instance, you used the example of the Prius. Has the lack of diversity in those particular selections prevented the Prius from becoming something that people widely appreciate and utilize on the roads today? And if you had some data that showed that they're skyrocketing in popularity, or that there's high demand for them, or that there's some other advantage to them. I think that that would have strengthened that argument. The movement to the second point was very clear. Again, you challenged the reliability of the data. You got in that discussion about what constitutes a road trip, and I do think that you have an interesting explanation, but I'm not quite clear what the value of that whole argument is. Even if I agree with your assessment of what constitutes a road trip, how does that apply to the argument that the advocate was presenting? It was not very clear to me. The third point, I thought, again, you're back to challenging the advocate's evidence or lack of evidence. The comparison of the car lengths, you've got some statistical information there. And I could see why, for instance, there might be fewer parking issues, but it doesn't really seem like any of it responds to the danger issue that was presented by the advocate. And there is some question about the parking legalities. As I recall, there was some reason that the smart cars, they park them differently or something like that in Europe. So I'm not quite sure that your argument's as responsive as it could be, although it did draw an intake of breath from the size of the damn Yukon being so big in comparison. All right, thank you.